In this video, I want to give you guys a little bit of an update on the models. As you can see, my background looks a little bit different. I am out of town, but I wanted to give you guys a quick update on our upcoming very major snowstorm because there's been a sudden and very last minute trend to the south on these models that we need to dive into. Today, we're going to be talking about the impacts that's going to change and basically all the changes involved with this trend that has now occurred on the models leading up to this storm. Again, very, very last minute here. Here was overnight last night's European model run, and as you can see, the heaviest snowfall was extending from states like southern New Hampshire into the rest of southern New England and even down through New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania. Notice our low located here. Again, I'll kind of draw a line straight through the heaviest of the snowfall, something like that. And as we take a look at the kind of afternoon model run here, what we see is a southwest trend. I'm going to draw it on a different color here. We see that it is a little bit further to the south and a little bit further to the west with that low pressure center. This is the exact same hour, about 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. here on Tuesday. And now the heaviest snowfall is much further south, extending from Delaware into southern New Jersey and even into Long Island around that hour. So definitely some big implications there. Even the National Weather Service has updated their forecast. Here was their most previous update earlier this morning. And again, the heaviest snowfall, I'll draw a line through it once again, but right down the middle here would be something like this, straight into kind of the Boston area. And now as we take a look at the most up-to-date model guidance and the National Weather Service's outlook here, you can see they've significantly even changed their forecast to now show still northern New Jersey, still northeastern Pennsylvania and southern New York, but now extending more into Connecticut, Rhode Island, and southeastern Massachusetts, again, even south of Boston with the bullseye here, still expecting around an 8 to 12 inch bullseye. That has just come down significantly. Let's take a look at the changes on the European model's total snowfall. And again, here's that overnight run once again with the total snowfall. The bullseye kind of in this area here. And as we take a look at the afternoon model run, we did see a significant drop in the amounts here from this European model run, but we can see the bullseye is significantly further south. I'd say about 50 to maybe 75 miles further to the south here on the afternoon model run as opposed to last night's model run. Now, typically, like let's say this storm was 3 or 4 days out, this would not be a big deal, not unexpected, and probably wouldn't even be anything too crazy. But to be talking about this within 12 hours of the onset of snowfall is absolutely crazy, and certainly a very, very unexpected twist and turn here in the forecast that has thrown a wrench in a lot of previously output information, especially from the National Weather Service and also from these models that we've been going over for days now. Again, let's take a look at another one. Here's the GFS model run, total snowfall. Again, I'll draw straight through that heaviest snowfall total, something like this here. And once we take a look here at the kind of updated version, we can see that is, again, just like our other models, this is slid about 50 to 75 miles further to the south. I'd say it's a little less significant here on the GFS as opposed to the European model, but still we could tell there's been a southern tick in that forecast at the very least. Certainly very interesting, certainly very concerning, as a lot of already preparations have been taking place further to the north, and now we're seeing this back off. And really the most significant area impacted here, we'll take a look at this kind of National Weather Service one again here, but I want to take a look at the kind of Boston area here. So let's take a look at this, and as you can see, when we take a look at the Boston area, here was kind of your previous update. Let me get this fully through here to the most updated version. Let's go back even further. Here we go. So this is where we were expecting the heaviest snowfall. You could see the National Weather Service was expecting 10 to maybe even 14 inches of snowfall throughout this kind of northern Connecticut, northern Rhode Island, into the Boston area snowfall amount. Now, as we update this to the most up-to-date information, look at that drop off. I mean, we've gone from 10 to 14 inches here to maybe 2 to perhaps 6 inches of snowfall, especially when you're taking a look at northern Connecticut, northern Rhode Island, into the Boston area, and even areas to the northwest and northeast of Boston. We're expecting those 10 plus inch amounts. Now it's looking a lot more like 4 to 6, maybe even 2 to 6 for some of these areas. So a huge drop off on the expected amounts here. I mean, unprecedented drop off. I would say that, but obviously there has been some occasions that were kind of like this, but the scary thing as a forecaster is there's nothing you can even do. I mean, look, this is the National Weather Service's forecast. They're using the best, most up-to-date information. And they're using so many different models that they have in-house, and still we've had this significant drop off in totals just a mere 12 hours before snowfall is expected to move in. Absolutely crazy stuff. I don't really have an answer for this, and I wish I did. I wish I could tell you the reason why this happened, but it's one of those things that, you know, forecasters are frustrated with when it happens, and there's nothing that can really be done about it, unfortunately. Now, let's go ahead and just walk you through the total kind of model run from our European model. So let's go back to the United States view. Let's go back to our European model here, and we're just going to take a look at the upcoming storminess, not only for this upcoming snowstorm, but I actually want to talk about beyond it. So we see that move out, and what we're left with is cooler air in the northeast. Again, we get a little bit of a brief warm up, maybe some point on Thursday. It's going to be very mild, you know, compared to what we're seeing in the coldest, but also it's going to be a mild warm up compared to some of those ones that we saw before. I would say this is a more near normal temperature pattern that we move into before seeing more cold air on the way. We do get a little snowstorm up there in the northeast around late week. I would say approximately Thursday into Friday timeframe for New England and some of the northeast. Potentially more of a mid-Atlantic southeast snowfall threat as much colder air moves into the east here around Saturday the 17th here. So much colder air. We have this southern moisture, and it actually does connect pretty well in this model run. We've been tracking this for a couple of days now, and this is the best connection we've seen yet. So perhaps a southeast mid-Atlantic snowstorm is on the way. We do have the support out west as we see the structure of our positive PNA out there, and this is causing the jet stream to move around that warm air mass and dive down for the eastern states. Again, matching up perfectly with this southern stream moving in. This could lead towards a pretty major southeast and mid-Atlantic snowstorm. Keep in mind, the southeast and mid-Atlantic, they don't need 10 inches for it to be considered major for these areas. You know, if we're talking about 2 to 4 inches, that is pretty major for these southeast areas like North Carolina, Tennessee, and especially if it was to extend further south into North Carolina. I would say for areas like West Virginia, Maryland, D.C., Delaware, maybe not as major up there, but for southern Virginia into northern North Carolina, you know, 2 to 4 inches is considered fairly major, shuts down school. Definitely has them out there assaulting the streets. So it's a whole different ball game when you're looking further south, and this terminology kind of changes based on you know, location. You know, for the Northeast, I would consider 10 inches certainly major, but for the Rockies, I mean, that's not really on the major scale of things for them, really. I think that's an average Tuesday for the Rockies. So I think there's a big difference in terminology based on location. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. Let's just move past this little snowfall threat, and let's move into kind of the pattern afterwards. We get that cold air lasting through the weekend, and then Monday we start to warm up a bit, even into Tuesday. Perhaps a warmer pattern on the way overall after we reach about the 20th time frame. So we're going to be watching for that potential change. Again, we do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe for daily weather uploads just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.